So video number one comes from a lawyer. Absolutely. He is a lawyer. And we're going to listen to this fine specimen of American jurisprudence. Let's listen.
This person has asked a question I see a lot of Republicans asking, which is, isn't due process just for citizens? Is there something that says that anyone on our soil is granted due process rights? And that'd be really crazy if we had something like that in our Constitution, right? Well, let's take a look at the Fifth Amendment, and it says, no person.
I wish you would have read the whole Fifth Amendment before you start misleading the world. But don't worry, I'll read it
Shall
in
be
just
held
a
to
moment.
answer for a capital or infamous crime without due process of law. And you can't say that the authors of the Constitution didn't know the difference between a citizen or a person. There is a difference. They say right here, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. But in the second part of this section of the 14th Amendment, they say, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The authors of the Constitution knew the difference. But
hold on. I can't deal with this guy. Let's look at that one more time. Now let me show you how deceiving this lawyer is. God help our courtrooms if this is a
nor
lawyer.
shall any state
Okay, watch
deprive
this.
any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law.
Okay, sir, if I wrote the bylaws of my church that I pastor, and in the first line, I declare what a member of our church is. Let's say they have to be baptized, they have to be faithful in their tithing and their attendance. If they meet all those qualifications, that makes them a member of our church or a citizen of our church. And then I go to the next paragraph and say, and every person in this church shall be treated equally. Wait a minute. Every person in this church. I just told you in the first paragraph what qualifies a person to receive the benefits of the next paragraph. It is understood that I'm speaking of the membership of the church. Now I'm not going to use the word member in every line as we continue, because I've already told you that what I'm writing applies to members, and those members are people. So now I can just say, and for all the people and for every person that paragraph 1 applies to, they get these benefits.
The authors of the Constitution knew the difference between a citizen and a person, and they deliberately chose to apply due process rights to all persons in the United States. And there's one more thing I want to add.
Please.
To say that illegals or criminals are not entitled to due process is totally backwards, because you are assuming that person is guilty of what they've been accused of without any evidence, without a
Wrong, liar. Sir, I'm sorry. I don't know who you are. You just lied to the whole world. You know what? Tell you lie one more time so I can correct you.
Without any evidence, without a trial.
You're wrong. Sir, you're wrong. You just said that an illegal alien has the right to due process, and how dare we send them home without a trial or any evidence. I'm going to play it again so you can get your point all the way out. We're not assuming that person is guilty
of what they've been accused of.
They're guilty. They've not been accused.
Without any evidence.
We have the evidence, and we don't need a trial because they're not entitled to a trial.
Due process unequivocally protects all persons on U.S. soil, not just citizens.
wrong. And please, whoever gave you a law degree, sir, beg them for a refund, okay? Because, Mr. Lawyer, you just said that illegal aliens, we're sending them back with no evidence. Okay, let me prove you wrong. Right now, if a policeman pulls me over and I'm driving my vehicle without insurance, I'm driving illegally, I'm driving against the law. And he says, Mr. Vaughn, can you show me your registration and your proof of insurance, please? And I cannot produce the documents to prove I'm legal. That was my due process, my friend. And the evidence that I don't have insurance is the fact that I could not produce the documentation. That was the evidence. And now I want to ask you, do I get a trial for them to pull my car over on the side of the road and put a big orange sticker on the back of it, Mr. Lawyer? No, the evidence that I'm illegal was in the fact I could not provide documentation. The moment I could not do so, I lost my right to drive that car without a trial, without evidence, or due process. My due process was this: Mr. Vaughn, are you legal? No, sir, I'm not. Okay. Congratulations. You just got due process. Now get your due behind out of the car. It's over. It's a wrap. You're guilty of not providing documentation. That is the due process. It is so simple. It's so simple. It's just so simple. To say that they get no due process, they only due process they are offered is proving they are legal. When they fail to do so, pull your car over, don't pass go, you don't collect $200, you go home free. That is your due process. It really is that simple. How did these people get law degrees? Now, I have another one while we're here with the Munchkins. This one's a lawyer as
That's not
well.
true. There's a huge body of legal precedent that says that.
Okay, this lawyer says that's not true, what I'm saying. There's a huge body of legal precedents. The only problem is he doesn't provide 1 ounce of this huge volume. But Professor
That
Toto is
says
about
that
to.
due process and other rights are for anyone who is in the United States. Furthermore, that argument doesn't even make sense. How could anyone prove their innocence if they don't have due process?
How can anyone prove their innocence without due process? I'm going to show you, Mr. Lawyer. I'm going to tell you the way you prove you're innocent. You produce the documentation. That's simple. That's how you prove your innocence. Here's my green card. Great. Have a good day. Now, you, sir, if you've got the green card and we try to send you out of the country, now you have due process. I'm going to prove that in a moment. But if you are illegal and you cannot prove you're legal, that was your due process. Now process your behind out of
How could
here.
someone even prove that they're a citizen if they don't have due process?
I'll show you how. I'll show you how. You don't need due process to prove you're a citizen. You need documentation. Sometimes these people make me, I lose it. Sometimes I just want to lose it on libtardism. And what's so sad, these people, they believe this man. Yeah, you got Lunamatoons believes this fellow. Listen to what he just said. I'm going to back it up
How can
about
someone
5
even prove that
seconds.
they're a
Listen to this.
citizen if they don't have due process?
You just show the documents. Just show your little ID, your little deal, your little green card, blue card, pink card. You prove it. You just prove
Without
it.
due process, citizens could be accused of being criminal non-citizens and thrown on planes and deported from the U.S.
No, they couldn't, sir, because we can show a legal ID, sir. Then those people definitely have due process, sir. Now let me educate these precious men. It takes Professor Toto to do it. The United States versus Verdugo Urquidez, 1990. Oh, you can Google it. The United States versus Verdugo Urquidez, 1990. It said the Fourth Amendment does not apply to non-citizens outside of the United States jurisdiction. Now, let me break that down for you, if I may. If you come to our border, the Supreme Court has said you have no right to due process. If you get to the border, and we say you cannot come in, you have no right to due process. That is settled legally. Okay? I'm fixing to read that to you. So let me get this right, if I may. Those people that come to our border, they do not belong to U.S. jurisdiction because the U.S. has no legitimate claim on those persons. They are not here as students. They are not welcomed guests. They are illegal. According to law, they have no right to due process. But let me get this right. I just need to make sure I'm understanding. If one of those people happen to slip through the cracks and get in here illegally, all of a sudden they have a right to what they didn't have a right to at the gate? Please. Wait a minute. We all, even the liberals, confess they don't have a right to due process at the border. But if they violate our law and slip 1 foot across that gate, they just got due process. Not according to the United States versus Verdugo Urquidez. Here's what the Supreme Court said. The people protected by the Fourth Amendment are those who are part of our national community or have developed sufficient connection with the United States to be considered part of our community. They said non-citizens are not guaranteed full constitutional protections. Oh, that's not it. What about Johnson versus Eisentrager, 1950? The German Eisentrager. Johnson versus Eisentrager, 1950. Enemy aliens. Here's what they said. Enemy aliens outside the United States jurisdiction do not have the right to habeas corpus or constitutional protection under the Fifth or Sixth Amendment. And I give you a direct quote. Such extraterritorial application of organic law would have been so significant an innovation in the practice of government that if it was intended or contemplated, it would have been plainly declared. They ruled non-citizens do not enjoy constitutional due process protections. But we're not finished. 1950, North versus Shaughnessy. The court said, the admission of non-citizens is a privilege, not a right. Even if detained at the border, non-citizens can be denied entry without due processes under the political branch's plenary power over immigration. I'll explain what that means in just a moment. Landon versus Placentia, 1982. A lawful permanent resident returning to the United States may be entitled to some due process rights. But the court emphasized these rights are not absolute and may be limited by sovereign authority over borders. Who is the sovereign authority over the border of the United States? Donald John Trump. Under a legal doctrine called plenary power, the executive and the legislative branches have plenary power over immigration. This means that the courts do not have power over our border. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our visit to the land of Oz. Tom Chambers, I will